The Second Great Awakening and Expansion West. The 1800s were a time of change in many aspects. The Second Great Awakening was particularly important on the development of religions in the U.S. One leader with much influence was Joseph Smith. Growing up in the burned-over district of New York, he said, quote, There was in the place where we lived an unusual excitement on the subject of religion. It commenced with the Methodists, but soon became general among all the divisions in the region of the country. Indeed, the whole district of country seemed affected by it, and great multitudes united themselves to the different religious parties, which created no small stir and division amongst the people, some crying "Lo here," and others "Lo there." Some were contending for the Methodist faith, some for the Presbyterian, and some for the Baptist. This excitement of religion came from the call by many preachers to return to a more religious and moral state. Many people, including Joseph Smith, wanted to know for themselves which church was the one for them. Joseph Smith spent much time in the Scriptures studying the words of God when he came upon a passage in James chapter 1, verse 5, stating, If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Joseph decided to do as James directed and ask God through prayer. In answer to his prayer, Joseph Smith received a vision where God and his Son Jesus Christ appeared to him and explained that he was to restore Christ's church to the earth the same way it was set up in the primitive church when Christ was on the earth. This church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, was officially established in 1830 after the translation and printing of the Book of Mormon. At this time there were less than 30 members, but the religion quickly spread. With the rise in membership, there also came a rise in persecution. The church was now centered in Missouri, and persecution grew here as well. One main issue was that with the rise of membership in the church, the people in Missouri feared to take over in political and social leadership. As a result of this persecution, the saints were forced to move even further west. Forced to leave their homes in Missouri during the early winter of 1846, the saints brought only the bare minimum in terms of supplies and belongings. The first trek west took over a year. Led by Brigham Young, the saints made their way across what is now part of the Emigrant Trail. Making a temporary home in Nebraska for the winter, the saints planted crops to help those who would come on the trail in the future. The first group to travel west left winter quarters on April 5, 1847. They traveled west across Wyoming, then southwest to the Salt Lake Valley. Many more saints traveled west in different companies in later years. The Martin Handcart Company was primarily made up of saints who had just arrived from England who were eager to reach Zion. As a result, they left in early August and were caught in the snow of an early winter while in Wyoming. They had a lack of supplies and eventually lost over a fifth of their members. Rescued later by those who had already made it to Salt Lake, they were in bad condition and grateful for the help. They reached the valley in November of that year. Other groups also made the trek, driven by their faith in God and this religion, starting from the answer to one boy's prayer during a time of confusion. The faith and perseverance of these pioneers developed one of the largest immigrations across the United States during this time. They also built the trail that was used for the next 20 years until the Transcontinental Railroad was built. The stories of their faith and courage through these hard times are still told today, and to gain understanding, many youth make a small version of the trek pulling handcarts. They left a legacy that will not be forgotten by all people today.